Hello everyone! Today we're going to build a simple DMX lighting controller system which is pretty modular, and then we're going to build a really simple UI for that. So let's begin directly. For the first part we're just going to create a container, and we're going to call this one lighting controller. Just like this, and this is where we're going to put our UI also later on. And let's go inside. Okay, so what we want to do for the first is we're going to create an RGB lighting fixture with 3 DMX channels. Quite simple. So we're just going to create a base and we call this RGB light fixture. And what we're going to do now is we're going to customize our component to create the actual parameters we're going to send out and control. So first we're going to call this one control, the first page, and really simple, we can just create an RGB character and we're going to call this one color. And as you can see, under control we now can select a color and we have 3 actual parameters. Also, it will be very handy to have like a master lighting for the lighting. So we're just going to create a float parameter and we press add par, and maybe because it's the master we're going to put it up here. So what else do we need to control a fixture? We need an address at least. So we're going to create a second page and we will call it settings. And it's empty now, and we're going to create an integer, and this integer is going to be called address. And to make life easier, this one is going to be also on us by hand, is we're going to create a footprint parameter, just so we know how many DMX addresses we will actually use for this one. So in this case, the footprint is RGB, so we're actually using 3 parameters. So we're setting the footprint to 3, and with right click on the parameter we can say enable read only, so this one now is set. And the address needs to be between 1, so we can change the range min, range max, and 512. So this one has an address of 1. We're just going to work in the first universe for now, but you can easily create more universes, but that's not what we're going to do today. So we have everything set up. We have our addresses, we have our controller with a master and the color for our 3-channel RGB lighting fixture. So let's go inside. At first what we're going to do is we're going to select a parameter chop. And as you already can see, we have color R, color G, color B, and these are the 3 channels we actually want to use. So what we're going to do is we will select color and we'll put an asterisk so we just get our 3 colors. Then we're going to use a math chop to set everything to between 0 and 255, and also for simplicity we're going to round our values. So now with right click on RGB lighting fixture here we can set parameters, and now if we change the color to some other values, you see we will get some values. Now we also want to use the master, so again we're just going to use a parameter chop again, just here. And what we want to do is we want to select the master parameter create a second math chop, put it here, connect the two, and now we set combine chops to multiply. So again, we go into our parameters, and when I change my master, everything's going just fine. And what we're going to do now is we will just create a null, and we will call this one DMX out. Simple enough. So yeah, we now have to rename, because now you see they are called master, master 1, master 2, and we still need to have a way to actually use the address and the footprint we created. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in a rename. And we're going to, in this case, when we want to have it channel 1, 2, 3, we're going to type in rename to ch, hard brackets, and then you can put in 1 and a -3, which means 2. So we'll rename to the names channel 1, 2, 3. So now you can see that's 1, 2, 3. So if we want to go higher, we put in 3 to 5. 3, 4, 5. But we want to do it automatically. I mean, we already have our parameters set up. So what we can do is we change the value to an expression, and we'll get a nice error because this isn't working. So what we will do is, at first we will put it into parentheses, and now when we press enter it will be evaluated. And what we can do now is use the format method. So what we're going to do is put in this curly brackets here, 1 and 2. Now we'll press enter, and now if we hit state.format, so we call, because this is a string, we call the format method. And now when I put in here 1 and 3, you see now it gets formatted. And because this is a Python expression, we can just use the parent information and parameters. So if we put in parent.parameter.address, you see it's set to 1. And what we also want to do for the target is we want to set the parent parameter address, but in this case the footprint, and we want to reduce it by 1. Oh, no, we don't. Ah yes, we want, because we set the parent address and add the footprint -1 to our address. So now we have 1, 2, 3. And let's just check with the parameters. So now if I change the address, you see it will automatically go to the channel we wanted. So let's stay at 29 to make it easier. Alrighty, so we have this. We have our DMX out here. We just called it this. And we're going to can change the address, and we can change the master, and we can change the color. So how do we get the information out without having to wire it in all the time? So we're going to create a new base component, and this one will be our DMX output controller. And we're just going inside here, and what we're going to do is we're going to use create an empty universe. So we're going to create 512 values, and we will set them all to 0. And this is really simple. We can just use a constant chop, and we will call this one ch1, but instead of 1, we would just use the curly brackets again, the hard brackets, and say from 1 to 512. And now it seems like it's empty, but if we zoom inside, you can see now we have all of them. So how do we get our DMX out of this RGB lighting fixture? So what we do is we use the select chop, and now if we just split the screen for now, we go back to our lighting controller level, go into the RGB lighting fixture, and we select this DMX out and put it in here. Okay, so this creates a Python expression, and we actually don't want this Python expression. So when we drop it directly here, we can say chop relative, and now we see that it creates a path. 2 dots means go one level up to lighting controller, look into RGB light fixture, and take the DMX out. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take this one, the name of the fixture, and we're going to replace it by an asterisk. And you see it's still working. And here comes the fun part. So yeah, my mouse is not working. We're going to split left right, and we're going again into the lighting controller, and we're looking at this RGB light fixture. There's a address of 29, and now if I take it to set it to 10, you see, okay, we have channel 10, 11, and 12. Now I want the second one. So we copy our RGB light fixture, and you see, okay, it's having some problems. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a new address. So now we have channel 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And it does this automatically. So when we copy this one and set this one to 16, again, we now have them all under control. And they will just automatically fill in. And you can do this with every other fixture you create. It doesn't have to be this RGB fixture. The only thing you have to take care of is that there's one null inside called DMX out, and that's taking care of everything. So we want to get it out, this information. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this constant here with the empty universe, and you already can see, okay, CH172, CH10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and so on. So we're going to create a replace, and we're going to put this one in. And now you can see, okay, channel 10, 11, 12, they all just got selected. And that's basically it. We can now create a DMX out, set it to, for example, ArtNet, and now we will send out ArtNet information for one universe, for the first universe in this case. Just to check it out, we take a DMX in, set it to ArtNet, and as you can see, we get some information. So let's just have a look what happens if we take this one, zoom in, or not. These are way too many. Way too many. Okay, I think this should work for now. Alright, so here you can see channel 10. So now if I go to my second RGB light fixture, change the master, you can see it gets sent out and gets sent in again. So now we want to have a UI, because now if we go up here, still there is no UI for us to use. So the simplest way is to create a let's call this one a parameter comp. And now if you drop this one into your parameter comp and say it's an operator, and we change the custom parameter to off, the built-in parameter to off, and we say we actually just want the control page. So now we have our master and we have our color we can set. Simple enough. But we don't want to do it by hand for everyone. So let's just delete this one. And we will create a second container and we will just call this one UI. So what we do is we go inside and we create an OP find. And we are going to say, okay, let's before we use the OP find, I'm sorry I forgot this, we have to tag our RGB light fixtures to make it really easy to find them. So what we can just do is we say show tags here in the parameter page, and we just call this one UI underscore fixture with X. So they are all now called have this tag UI fixture. And so we're going to use this OP find component to find the actual components and to see how they are, where they are. So what we can do is we just say dot dot again, which is our UI component, but we want to look inside of the lighting controller component. So we just put in a slash and again 2 dots. And you can already see, okay, we have the RGB lighting fixture and we have the UI and DMX output controller. We don't want them in our UI. So we can go to the filters page. And now if we look here for tags, now we can put in UI fixture. And as you see, perfect, we have 3 fixtures and not the other stuff running around in here. So what we also want is we want to have the path. We don't need the type, we want the name and the path. So now we have the name and the path, perfect. And let's set this one to a null here. Okay, so let's create again a parameter. And let's say we only want the custom, the built-in, and we want the CTRL, and nothing happens. So let's actually just choose which parameter, which fixture we want to use. And for this we are going to use a widget. Simple enough. We go open the palette, we go to basic widgets, and we're just going to use a drop down menu. So we take it, drop it in, and what we can do here is we put this one in, and now we can menu options. So we take the first dead output. We create a null for this. So now if we select the RGB light fixture, you can see that under label whatever. Now we are going to have a look at this later. Now let's continue. We can select our fixture. And now we're going to use this parameter one, and we're just going to say, okay, we're going to write a Python expression, and we are writing OP and now we want to have the path. So again, we're going to write OP null2, and we want to have the value in the first row in the first column, and we press enter. And now when we change this part here, our parameter component will automatically select the right one. So we can have a look at menu. So table format. And here we can say row 0 is header and column 1 is label. So now if we select here, yeah, it's still too long, but use name and label columns. Yeah, let's just keep it at this. So also we want, when we now look inside here, we don't see our component bad enough. So again, let's go inside. And at first, let's take the parameter 1, go to the layout, and change the horizontal mode to fill and the vertical mode to fill. So now it will automatically fill out the parent component. And with the drop-down menu, we're going to say also in the panel, in the layout, horizontal mode, fill, but we will stay with the vertical mode. You will see why. But we still can't see it. So we have to go to the UI component and say align, and we say top to bottom. And now we can just select our components here and control them really easily. And again, also for the UI, we say layout, horizontal mode fill, vertical mode fill. If we now go on top, here's our finished, completely finished UI component with a simple UI to work with. So just as an example, now we take the RGB lighting fixture 2, we copy it, and we say we set the address to, let's say, 45. And now you can see it's inside and everything is working. So much for that. I hope this helps, and stay tuned for more coming tutorials and stuff like this.